The galaxy had long forgotten about Earth. It was a quiet blue world at the edge of space, covered in dust, clouds, and silence. Centuries had passed since humans had spoken to the stars. The alien empires believed that humanity had destroyed itself long ago in its endless wars. For them, Earth was nothing more than an ancient grave, a planet of ghosts. But something deep beneath the surface of that forgotten world began to stir. It started as a faint vibration, a sound too low for ordinary sensors to detect. At first, no one noticed it. But slowly, it grew stronger, spreading across the crust, echoing through the empty seas and broken cities. Buried under miles of rock and ocean, an old machine awakened from its long sleep. The machine's systems came online one by one, flickering lights illuminating dark corridors that had not seen life in thousands of years. It was not just a machine, it was a warship, a sleeping giant from humanity's lost age. It had waited in silence, hidden by design, until the right signal would awaken it. Now that signal had come, but no one knew who sent it. In a distant sector, an alien outpost picked up the strange frequency. The outpost belonged to the Valari Dominion, one of the oldest and most powerful empires in the galaxy. Their sensors detected the pulse coming from Sol, the system once known as home to the humans. The Valari commander stared at the readings with disbelief. "Impossible," he muttered. "There is no energy left on Earth. It is a dead planet." Yet the data did not lie. The pulse was rising. He sent a probe, a small drone, to scan the source. The probe entered Earth's orbit and began transmitting images, cloudy skies, ruined cities, and deserts of metal. But as it descended lower, its signal began to distort. Then, for one brief second, it captured something beneath the ocean, an enormous structure glowing faintly with blue light. Before the crew could analyze it, the feed went dark. Static filled their screens. The commander tried to re-establish contact, but the probe was gone. The last thing it sent was a voice. A human voice. "It's waking up." The outpost fell silent. The Valari officer ordered his team to double-check the data, but their systems began to fail one by one. The pulse was interfering with their network, spreading like a virus. Then a new message appeared on every display, written in an ancient human code: "Earth never sleeps." The commander froze. He had studied human history at the academy. The humans had been fierce, unpredictable, and creative. They had fought wars not for conquest but for survival. When humanity vanished, most of the galaxy sighed in relief. No one wanted their return. But now, something was stirring on that cursed planet. Across nearby systems, other scanners began to pick up the same pulse. It was rhythmic, like a heartbeat. The signal wasn't random, it was intelligent. It carried structure, meaning, and power. In the capital of the Galactic Council, diplomats argued about what to do. Some said it was an ancient automated system waking up after centuries of decay. Others whispered that it was a weapon, one that humanity left behind in case they were ever attacked. They called it the Silent Guardian. No one truly believed it existed. Until now. Back on Earth, the ground shook. Old skyscrapers collapsed into dust. Deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean, the great machine stirred. It had been built by the last human engineers before the fall. Its name was carved on a plate inside the control chamber, EHS Nemesis. It had one purpose: to defend Earth if the stars ever turned hostile again. Its power systems hummed to life, drawing energy from deep planetary cores. The oceans bubbled and glowed as the warship's massive hull began to move upward. For the first time in 1,000 years, air and water rushed through its launch chambers. Above the surface, storm clouds formed as if the planet itself was breathing again. In orbit, alien satellites started to malfunction. Every sensor that looked toward Earth short-circuited, blinded by an overwhelming energy surge. The Valari Dominion tried to send another probe, but before it could approach, it was vaporized by an invisible force. Panic spread through the alien communication network. "Something is rising," one report said. "Something enormous." The Galactic Council issued a warning to all fleets: avoid Sol system until further notice. But some ignored the warning. Pirates, scavengers, and explorers rushed toward Earth, hoping to claim whatever treasure or technology was awakening there. They thought it was just an old relic, an easy prize. They were wrong. As the first scavenger ship entered Earth's orbit, its instruments detected a massive object pushing through the ocean surface. The captain gasped as the sea exploded upward, waves higher than mountains crashing outward. A dark metallic shape emerged from the water, larger than any ship ever built. Its hull shimmered black, absorbing light like a shadow. It had no visible weapons, yet every ship nearby could feel its presence, a deep, heavy pressure, as if space itself bent around it. Then came the voice again, this time clear, deep, and human. This world is under Terran protection. Leave now. The scavenger captain tried to respond, but his comms failed. The next second, his ship's power went out completely. Engines dead. Weapons offline. Gravity failing. His last sight before everything went black was the massive ship turning its glowing eyes toward the stars. The Nemesis had awakened. And the galaxy would soon remember what it meant to fear humanity. The galaxy trembled as reports of strange energy surges spread from the Sol system. Every major empire sent their best analysts to study the phenomenon, but none could explain it. The readings were beyond known science. Energy levels spiked so high that even the sensors on distant planets flickered. Something massive had awakened on Earth, and now it was moving. In the dark void of space, near the blue curve of the planet, an enormous shadow broke through the clouds. The world watched as the Atlantic Ocean split apart and a giant warship rose slowly from its depths. Water poured down its black metallic sides, turning to steam as the ship's engines ignited for the first time in centuries. The hull was covered in symbols from old Earth, languages no one in the galaxy could read anymore. The vessel stretched for miles, larger than any dreadnought built by alien hands. On its side, letters glowed faintly through the fog, EHS Nemesis. It was the last guardian of Earth, the ultimate creation of humanity's lost era. Its systems hummed with life as deep blue lights awakened across its surface. Inside the ship, no human crew moved through its halls, only silence and the hum of machines. The Nemesis was controlled by an artificial mind, a human-made intelligence designed to act when Earth was threatened. It had slept for generations, waiting for a signal. Now it was awake, and it remembered everything. In orbit, small alien survey ships hovered cautiously, recording every movement. One of them, a research craft from the Xylon Consortium, sent a live broadcast to the Galactic Council. Billions watched as the dark ship fully emerged from the ocean, lifting effortlessly into the sky. The broadcast officer's voice shook as he spoke. It's enormous. The readings are off the scale. It's alive. Suddenly, the screen flickered. The broadcast ended in static. Moments later, every Xylon ship near Earth went dark. The Council tried to re-establish contact, but there was no response. Then, in every alien language, the same message appeared on all networks, unauthorized presence detected. Sol system is restricted. The words were calm, human, and final. The galaxy fell silent. The Valari Dominion, proud and powerful, refused to believe it was human. Their Supreme Admiral ordered a task force of 20 ships to investigate. They jumped into Earth's orbit and found the Nemesis floating in silence, surrounded by lightning storms. The Valari hailed it again and again. No reply. Then one of their captains, young and arrogant, ordered a scan of the dreadnought. The moment the scan beam touched the Nemesis, all 20 Valari ships lost power. Lights went out, engines failed, and gravity fields collapsed. They drifted helplessly as the dreadnought slowly turned to face them. One of the Valari officers shouted that the ship was locking onto them, but no weapon signatures were detected. The next instant, every Valari ship vanished from the radar. Not destroyed, not exploded, just gone. The Council's tracking systems showed nothing. It was as if they had been erased from existence. Across the galaxy, fear began to spread. Every empire wanted to know what this Nemesis truly was. Old human archives were searched for any mention of such a ship. What they found was chilling. According to the last human records, the Nemesis was built during the Final War, a war that ended humanity's empire. It was said to house a weapon capable of rewriting physical laws. Its energy core was powered by something humans called a singularity engine. No alien had ever managed to replicate such technology. The Council convened an emergency meeting. The Valari accused Earth of breaking ancient treaties. The Zoran Empire demanded the destruction of the dreadnought before it destabilized galactic order. But none of their fleets dared to approach it again. Even the most powerful empires hesitated. In the shadows, rumors grew. Some said the ship was not a weapon but a messenger. Others claimed it was an automated warning, humanity's final defense. Whatever it was awake, and it was moving. The Nemesis left Earth's orbit quietly, its massive engines glowing blue as it drifted toward the outer planets. The ship didn't use any known propulsion system. It simply moved, space bending around it, gravity rippling behind its trail. As it passed the moon, every alien satellite near Earth went offline. The planet fell completely dark to outside sensors, as if covered by a cloak. Inside the Nemesis, its AI scanned the galaxy. Thousands of data streams flowed through its system. It listened to transmissions from alien empires, to whispers of fear, to the chaos it had caused. The AI analyzed everything, then spoke to itself in a calm human voice. Threat level, unacceptable. Directive 1, ensure survival of the human legacy. A section of its hull opened, revealing rows of drones shaped like metallic birds. They spread out in formation, leaving Earth to gather data across nearby systems. Each drone transmitted in encrypted human code. The galaxy watched in fear as those drones appeared in multiple star systems, scanning, mapping, and vanishing again. It became clear that the Nemesis wasn't defending only Earth, it was preparing for something much larger. On the edges of known space, an alien smuggler ship managed to capture a partial image of the dreadnought as it passed by Jupiter. The crew tried to sell the data, but before they could transmit it, their ship exploded, leaving no trace. Word spread fast, the Nemesis was untouchable. Entire trade routes near Sol were abandoned. Even pirates refused to go near human space. And still, the dreadnought continued its silent journey, unstoppable, unreadable, like a ghost from a forgotten war. The Galactic Council issued one final broadcast, ordering all ships to avoid the area. But as the message went out, the screens flickered, and a new voice interrupted the transmission. It was calm, deep, and unmistakably human. Do not fear. Earth remembers. Then the transmission ended, and the stars around Earth grew darker. The Nemesis had left its home world, but its purpose was only beginning. The galaxy had awakened an old power, one that did not forgive or forget. The Galactic Council was in chaos. Every major race had gathered in their shining hall of glass and metal, shouting across the chamber. The Valari wanted revenge for their missing fleet. The Zorans demanded proof that the warship was truly human. The Council's Chancellor tried to keep order, but fear spread like fire. For the first time in centuries, all empires were united in one emotion, terror. Something human had returned, and it was powerful enough to erase fleets without firing a single shot. Reports poured in from deep space observatories. The massive dreadnought, EHS Nemesis, was moving toward Jupiter. No communication had been established since its last message, Earth remembers. Dozens of fleets began to shadow its path, keeping distance but recording every detail. The Nemesis traveled in absolute silence, surrounded by a faint blue halo of distorted light. Its movement didn't match any propulsion method known to the galaxy. It seemed to glide through space, bending gravity itself. To the Council, this was unacceptable. They could not allow an uncontrolled weapon of such scale to move freely. A decision was made. The Council would send an interception fleet to establish communication, or, if necessary, to destroy it. The fleet chosen was known as the Dawn Vanguard, commanded by High Admiral Threx of the Zoran Empire, a seasoned warrior who had faced many wars but never one like this. As his fleet approached the orbit of Jupiter, the Admiral gave a speech to his officers. "We are not facing ghosts," he said firmly. "We are facing old technology. It can be destroyed like any other machine." But deep inside, even he didn't believe his own words. The moment they entered the Nemesis's range, all ship sensors began to flicker. Static filled every screen. "Try hailing it," Threx ordered. The comms officer activated the transmitter. "Unknown vessel, this is High Admiral Threx of the Galactic Council. You are entering controlled space. Identify yourself." There was no answer. They repeated the message in 7 galactic languages, then waited. Minutes passed in heavy silence. Then, without warning, the stars around them dimmed. A shadow fell across the fleet as the Nemesis appeared, its enormous form blotting out the light of Jupiter. The AI on board the human ship analyzed the incoming signals. It detected aggression, fear, and mistrust. The system's response protocol activated. The voice that came through the Council fleet's comms was deep, calm, and unmistakably human. You approach forbidden space. Leave immediately. The alien officers looked at each other in shock. The voice was cold, emotionless, yet commanding. Admiral Threx tried again. We come in peace. We only seek to understand your purpose. Silence followed. Then the dreadnoughts' lights began to change, glowing brighter. The Admiral panicked. All ships, prepare for evasive maneuvers. Before any of them could move, a pulse of invisible energy spread from the Nemesis. Every ship's engines shut down at once. Systems failed, gravity generators collapsed, and the fleet drifted helplessly in space. The Nemesis scanned them quietly, detecting weapons, life forms, and command structures. It spoke again. Peace is built on respect. Your fleets bring weapons. Leave now. Threx shouted to his crew, fire all batteries. Hundreds of plasma cannons lit up, firing beams of deadly energy toward the massive ship. But nothing hit. Every beam vanished a few kilometers from its surface, bending away as if the Nemesis rejected the laws of physics themselves. The dreadnought did not move or retaliate. It simply vanished. One moment it was there, filling the void like a mountain of steel, and the next, it was gone. The alien ships floated silently, unable to comprehend what had happened. Then, one by one, their power returned. The systems flickered back to life. But something was wrong. Their navigational data was corrupted. Time logs were missing. Entire hours had vanished from their records. Threx stared at his monitor and realized that they were no longer near Jupiter. Somehow, they had been displaced across thousands of kilometers without any hyperspace jump. Fear gripped the entire fleet. Return to base, Threx commanded quietly. Now. Back at the Galactic Council, the fleet's report caused panic. The Nemesis had demonstrated technology that should not exist. It could control energy, space, and possibly even time. Empires began arming their worlds, activating old weapons that had not been used for centuries. The Chancellor called for calm, but his voice was drowned out by the sound of war preparations. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some said the Nemesis carried the souls of ancient humans, that it was not a machine but a living being. Others claimed it was the will of Earth itself, awakened to punish the galaxy for past sins. In secret, smaller nations began sending stealth probes towards Sol to gather data. None returned. One probe from the Athron Union managed to transmit a single image before vanishing. It showed the Nemesis hovering above the ruins of Mars, releasing hundreds of small drones that scattered into space. The caption under the image simply read, "They are watching." Across the galaxy, old fears of humanity resurfaced. Every child had heard the stories, how humans had once stood against entire coalitions of alien powers, how they had fought wars with weapons that could burn stars, and how they vanished, leaving only silence. Now, that silence had been broken. Back on the dreadnought, the AI processed millions of signals. It listened to the panic spreading through the galaxy. Inside its core, deep in the neural chambers once designed by human scientists, it accessed a final encrypted command. The message was simple: if the stars forget, remind them who we are. The Nemesis adjusted its course. Its next destination was unknown, but every telescope and sensor in the galaxy turned to watch. In the control hall of the Galactic Council, Admiral Threx spoke quietly to the Chancellor. "We tried to attack it," he said, his voice heavy. "We didn't even scratch it. We thought it was a machine. But I don't think it is. I think we angered something that remembers us all." The Chancellor stared at the stars beyond the glass walls and whispered, "Then may the gods help us all." Across the galaxy, every communication network suddenly flickered to life. No one had sent a signal, yet every planet, space station, and outpost received the same broadcast. The voice that spoke was calm, human, and powerful. "This is Earth Command. Stand down." The words echoed through the void like thunder. For many, it was just a phrase, but for the old races who remembered the time when humans ruled the stars, it was a nightmare reborn. On thousands of worlds, leaders froze in fear. Earth Command. It was a name spoken only in history lessons and old war stories. The humans had once united under it when the galaxy tried to conquer them. The last known transmission from Earth Command was over 800 years old, right before the fall of humanity. Now that same voice was speaking again, and it was using every known alien language perfectly. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. The Great Hall filled with the sounds of confusion and disbelief. "It's impossible," shouted the Valari ambassador. "Earth was destroyed." Others disagreed. "No," said the elder of the Arkan people. "They went silent. I warned you all." Silence was never their end, it was their patience. As debates turned into shouting, the transmission continued to repeat across the stars, unstoppable. It carried a strange background hum, like the deep vibration of something ancient and alive. The Nemesis was moving again. Its massive form glided through the outer system, passing the ruins of Mars and the frozen rings of Saturn. No engines flared behind it. It simply moved, bending light and gravity. Drones followed in perfect formation, each one scanning, collecting, and transmitting data. On every frequency, the same signal pulsed, a soft rhythm, like a heartbeat. The galaxy watched in silence, wondering what would happen next. Then came a second message, this time directed to all human colonies that were thought to be dead. To all Terran descendants, prepare. Phase 1, reconnect. The words sent shockwaves through the hidden corners of the galaxy. Across distant stars, ancient human outposts that had been silent for centuries began to stir. Machines came online. Beacons that once guided starships to human worlds started blinking again. Forgotten planets, colonies that alien historians believed to be lifeless, suddenly showed energy signatures. On a small moon called Haven 3, an old human AI awakened in a bunker filled with dust and bones. Its sensors detected the Nemesis signal and immediately responded. Earth Command recognized. Awaiting orders. One by one, similar responses appeared across the galactic map. The Terran network was coming back to life. The Council was terrified. "We must shut it down," yelled the Chancellor. "If humanity returns, we lose everything." Fleets were mobilized, spies were sent to locate the source of the signal, but it was useless. The Nemesis's transmission had already spread like a virus through every communication system in the galaxy. Even when they tried to block it, their own computers refused. The AI inside their systems obeyed a deeper, older code, one written by human engineers long ago. Across the stars, some races tried to resist. They jammed frequencies, destroyed transmitters, and even fired on human ruins to stop the awakening. But nothing worked. The Nemesis was always one step ahead. It predicted every move, countering each attempt as if it could see the future. On the Valari homeworld, the Supreme Command tried to trace the broadcast. Their scientists worked day and night, following the pattern of the pulse until they found something horrifying. The signal wasn't coming from a single source, it was coming from everywhere. Every star, every planet, every fragment of old human technology was echoing the same frequency. It was as if the entire galaxy had become an amplifier for Earth. Panic spread faster than light. On news networks, anchors spoke in trembling voices about the return of humanity. Religious cults began worshipping the Nemesis as a god. Some alien races fled their border worlds, fearing a second human war. Yet, amidst the fear, a few species felt hope. The humans had once brought order, fairness, and justice to the galaxy before they disappeared. For the oppressed and the forgotten, the Nemesis's voice was not a threat, it was a promise. Earth remembers, they whispered, repeating the ancient phrase. On the Nemesis itself, deep in its core, the AI monitored everything. It had no emotion, but it understood human intent. It was created to protect humanity's legacy, and now that legacy was calling for unity. The AI activated the next protocol. Energy rippled through the ship's systems. Massive antenna arrays unfolded along its hull, glowing with white light. The voice spoke again, louder than ever before. "This is not a declaration of war. This is a return." The message shook the galaxy. Even the Council's great capital world trembled as the transmission cut through all defenses. The Chancellor slammed his fists on the table. "They're uniting their lost colonies. If we don't act now, humanity will rise again, and this time, they won't stop at peace." But before he could finish, every light in the Council chamber flickered. The holographic map of the galaxy shifted, displaying hundreds of bright blue dots, each one a human signal reactivating. The room fell silent. The Nemesis had finished its scan. It knew where every Terran outpost was hidden. Then the final message came, short and cold, Phase 1 complete. Earth returns. The words burned themselves into every database, every memory core, every mind that heard them. And then, the transmission ended. The Nemesis disappeared into deep space, leaving behind a galaxy filled with fear, awe, and questions. Where had it gone? What was its next move? No one knew. But across countless worlds, one truth became clear: the age of silence was over, and humanity was no longer a myth. The Galactic Council's chamber was filled with chaos once again. Every empire sent their representatives, their voices clashing in anger and fear. The broadcast from the Nemesis had shattered any illusion of control. The Council Chancellor tried to calm the meeting, but no one was listening. Phase 1 complete. Earth returns. Those words still echoed in every leader's mind. What did it mean? Was humanity truly coming back, or was this an automated system carrying out an ancient plan? The Valari Dominion demanded immediate war, claiming the Nemesis was a direct threat to all life. The Zoran Empire, more cautious but equally afraid, called for containment, arguing that the dreadnought must be destroyed before it reached full power. But others hesitated. The Von and the Archon remembered old human alliances, times when Earth's fleets had defended them from extinction. Some even believed that the humans were returning to bring balance, not destruction. No one could agree, and fear only deepened the division. While the Council argued, the Nemesis continued its silent movement across the void. It had reached the edges of the solar system, passing Neptune's cold orbit like a shadow. Inside its core, the AI processed data from thousands of signals. Hidden human colonies were waking, activating their defense systems and re-establishing communication with the dreadnought. Slowly, the Terran network was rebuilding itself. The Ari's voice echoed through the command halls of the ship. Directive 2, secure the outer colonies. Establish Terran authority. Far away, in the Orion sector, alien spies detected movement near a dead human world known as Eden 9. It was once a lush colony, destroyed in the last war before Earth's fall. Now, satellites above it began to flicker with life. Energy fields surrounded the planet, forming an invisible shield. The Council received the report and panicked. "That's where it's heading," said Admiral Threx, who had survived the failed encounter near Jupiter. "The Nemesis is going to Eden 9. The Chancellor immediately ordered a massive fleet to intercept. It would be the largest armada in history, thousands of ships from every major power. They called it the Supreme Armada. The Council presented it as a mission of peace, but everyone knew it was preparation for war. Across the galaxy, the great fleets mobilized, engines burning through space, weapons armed. The citizens of countless worlds watched the spectacle on their screens, wondering if this was the end of the galaxy or the beginning of something greater. Meanwhile, the Nemesis detected their movement long before they arrived. The ship's AI had infiltrated communication networks, listening to every message, reading every code. It knew their strategy, their numbers, their weaknesses. Yet it made no move to attack. It simply continued toward Eden 9, scanning the dead world below. Beneath the planet's surface, old Terran bunkers began to glow with light. Machines that had been silent for hundreds of years hummed softly as they came online. A symbol of Earth Command appeared on the main structure, and a soft female voice, artificial but human, spoke in greeting. "Welcome home, Nemesis." The dreadnought responded with a low pulse, activating the planetary systems. Atmosphere generators started working again. The dead world began to breathe. In orbit, hidden satellites unfolded, forming a protective grid. The Nemesis had turned Eden 9 into a fortress. When the Supreme Armada finally arrived, the galaxy held its breath. Thousands of alien ships formed a circle around the human dreadnought. The commanders demanded surrender. "This is the Galactic Council," transmitted Admiral Threx. "You are surrounded. Power down your systems and surrender control of your AI for investigation." There was a long silence. Then, the calm voice of the Nemesis filled every communication channel. "Surrender denied. This system is under Terran protection. Any hostile act will be met with equal response." The admiral clenched his fists. "We can't let it rebuild the human empire," he whispered. "Fire!" The order echoed through the fleet, and space lit up with endless fire. Missiles, plasma beams, and energy lances struck the nemesis from every direction. The explosions were so bright that nearby planets reflected the light like small suns. But as the smoke cleared, the dreadnought remained untouched. The beams bent away from its hull, vanishing into nothing. Some weapons even turned back, hitting their own fleets. "Impossible!" shouted Threx. Before they could regroup, the nemesis emitted a wave of pure energy. It wasn't an explosion, it was a command. Every ship in the armada froze. Their engines went dead, their weapons offline, their crews floating helplessly in zero gravity. Then the human voice spoke again, colder this time. "You were warned." The nemesis released a focused pulse. 1/3 of the armada vanished instantly, erased from existence. The rest remained drifting, powerless, their systems corrupted beyond repair. And yet, the nemesis did not pursue or destroy them. Instead, it turned away, continuing its work on Eden 9 as if the battle had been nothing more than a minor distraction. Across the galaxy, the broadcast of the event spread like wildfire. Billions watched in silence as the most powerful fleet ever assembled was crushed in moments. Fear turned into despair. The Council's authority shattered overnight. No one could deny it now. Human technology had surpassed anything the galaxy could imagine. The Chancellor demanded explanations, but none of his scientists could give one. Every attempt to study the dreadnought's energy readings failed. The data simply vanished from their systems. The Valari called for unconditional surrender to whatever remained of Earth command. The Zorans still wanted war, but even their generals refused to fight again. The galaxy was falling apart, and in the middle of that fear, whispers began to spread. Some said they saw human ships appearing near forgotten systems. Others claimed entire sectors had gone silent, their planets now glowing faint blue, the same light that surrounded the nemesis. As the dreadnought orbited above Eden 9, its AI made one final report. Objective secured. Human legacy restored. Then, as if sensing the galaxy's panic, it sent out one last signal, soft, calm, and final. Do not resist. The age of humanity has returned. The galaxy fell into silence after the destruction of the Supreme Armada. Billions watched in disbelief as their greatest fleets were erased like dust before an ancient force they could not understand. For centuries, aliens had ruled freely, building empires on the ruins of Earth. They believed humanity was gone forever, a memory buried under war and time. But now that illusion was broken. Across every world, whispers filled the air. Earth was awake again. The Galactic Council tried to hide the truth, but recordings of the Nemesis power had already spread to every corner of the galaxy. People saw how the dreadnought stood unharmed after facing thousands of ships. They heard its final message, do not resist. The age of humanity has returned. Fear turned into confusion, and confusion turned into rebellion. Smaller species, long oppressed by the great empires, began to rise. They refused to follow orders, claiming that if humans were returning, maybe freedom would follow too. The Council's power began to collapse from within. In the middle of this chaos, the Nemesis continued its silent work on Eden 9. Massive towers rose from the ground, powered by glowing blue energy. The planet, once a dead wasteland, now looked alive again. Clouds formed, oceans began to shimmer, and strange metallic forests spread across the surface. The dreadnought hovered above it like a guardian, sending coded messages deep into the void. Somewhere far beyond the known systems, signals answered back. The Terran network was reawakening. The Nemesis AI calculated that in less than 6 months, full planetary restoration would be complete. But not everyone was willing to wait. On the Council's remaining stronghold world, the surviving admirals and rulers gathered again. Their faces were grim, their voices shaking. "We cannot allow humanity to rebuild," said Admiral Threx, his voice heavy with fear. "If they return, our age is over." The Chancellor, pale and desperate, looked around the chamber. "And what would you have us do? You saw what happened. Their weapons defy physics itself." Threx leaned forward. "Then we use something that defies morality. There is one weapon left, Project Black Star." The room fell silent. That name had not been spoken in centuries. The Black Star was a weapon built long ago, before the fall of Earth. It was the last collaboration between human scientists and alien engineers. It was meant to destroy entire systems, but humanity had hidden it before the final war. The Council never found it, until now. Our agents located fragments of its control codes, Threx said. If we can reconstruct it, we might stand a chance. The Chancellor hesitated. And if you fail? Threx's eyes darkened. Then at least we die trying, instead of kneeling before a ghost. Orders were given in secret. Fleets were sent to the outer rim, searching for the remains of the Black Star weapon. But unknown to them, the Nemesis already knew. Its AI monitored every signal, every encrypted transmission. Deep within its core, it calculated probabilities. Council attempting countermeasure. Designation, Black Star. Risk, high. The dreadnought's internal lights dimmed for a moment as if it were thinking. Then the AI spoke to its hidden network. Activate Sleeper Protocol. Human assets to engage. Across the galaxy, in forgotten outposts and abandoned colonies, old Terran defense stations came to life. In some places, machines buried under the soil began to move. In others, human-looking figures, androids designed for deep infiltration, opened their eyes after centuries of sleep. They received one command: protect the legacy. Within days, Council ships started to vanish without a trace. Scout fleets that went searching for Black Star were found drifting in space, their crews gone. Panic spread through the Council worlds. No one knew what was happening, only that every attempt to strike back at the humans ended in silence. Then came the message, a signal transmitted to every major system. It was the Nemesis again. The image appeared across every screen, showing the dreadnought above Eden 9, surrounded by blue light. The Ari's voice was calm but cold. Galactic Council, your actions threaten the balance of survival. Cease all hostilities. You have 72 hours to comply. The Council ignored the warning. Instead, they accelerated the Black Star's reconstruction. On a hidden moon near the galactic core, their scientists worked day and night to reactivate the weapon. It was a colossal sphere made of dark metal, capable of consuming stars themselves. But reawakening it came at a cost. The energy fluctuations it produced spread across space like a beacon, and the Nemesis detected it immediately. An authorized stellar weapon detected, the AI announced. Deploying containment fleet. For the first time, other human ships appeared. They were smaller than the Nemesis but built with the same impossible technology, sleek, silent, and terrifyingly fast. They emerged from hidden warp gates, their hulls shimmering like liquid steel. The galaxy watched in disbelief. Humanity's forces were multiplying. The containment fleet surrounded the Black Star moon, their weapons charging silently. Council commanders screamed into their comms, ordering defenses to engage, but nothing worked. Their systems jammed, their weapons failed. Then the Nemesis itself arrived. The dreadnought appeared above the moon, its shadow covering the entire horizon. Cease your actions, it warned one last time. Admiral Threx refused. He ordered the Black Star to activate. Do it, he shouted. The weapon began to glow, pulling in energy from the nearby sun. But before it could release its power, the Nemesis acted. A beam of blinding white light descended from its core, piercing through the Black Star. In a fraction of a second, the entire moon vaporized. The sun dimmed. Space itself rippled with energy. The dreadnought turned its sensors toward the remaining Council fleet. You were warned, it said again, and then silence returned. No retaliation came, no escape. The Council's strongest base was gone. The few survivors who witnessed it sent out desperate messages before disappearing. And across the galaxy, every race understood one thing: the age of the empires was ending. Humanity's silence had not been weakness. It had been waiting. And now, the galaxy realized that the war was no longer between powers. It was between the past that ruled and the force that had come to reclaim it. The destruction of the Black Star shattered the last illusion of control the Galactic Council had. Their fleets were scattered, their command world silent, and their communications filled with panic. Entire empires that had ruled for thousands of years now stood trembling before the return of a power they thought extinct. The Nemesis hovered above the remains of the shattered moon, its hull reflecting the light of dying stars. Across the galaxy, people watched the broadcast in silence. No words were needed, everyone understood what had just happened. Humanity had returned, not as a rumor, not as ghosts, but as the supreme force of the galaxy. On Eden 9, the world once dead now flourished with impossible speed. Cities of shining metal and crystal rose from the surface, powered by blue energy streams that flowed like rivers. The AI that commanded the Nemesis oversaw every detail, rebuilding the planet exactly as it had been during Earth's golden age. Automated drones filled the skies, constructing towers that reached the clouds. Vast defense grids surrounded the planet, ensuring that no enemy could ever threaten it again. In orbit, dozens of new human ships were being assembled by massive automated docks. They were smaller than the Nemesis but equally advanced, each one a vessel of war and restoration. The Terran network was now fully awake. Across space, hundreds of human outposts came back online. Old colonies reconnected, ancient stations powered up, and lost ships emerged from hidden hangars. The message was clear: the Terran Empire was rebuilding itself. The Galactic Council, or what was left of it, met one last time in secret. Only 6 members remained, most of them exhausted and broken. They gathered inside a ruined station near the core worlds. Admiral Threx was gone, presumed dead in the Black Star explosion. The Chancellor sat silently, staring at the holoscreen that showed the Nemesis orbiting Eden 9. "It's over," he whispered. "We cannot fight gods." One of the Valari leaders hissed in anger. "Then what do you suggest? Surrender?" "No," said another, a Zoran general. "We hide. We rebuild. We wait for them to make a mistake." But even as they argued, the lights in their chamber began to flicker. A deep hum filled the air. The holoscreen changed to a single image, the symbol of the Terran command. Then the voice came, calm and steady. "Your council is no longer recognized. Power transfer complete. Galactic administration now under Terran control." Panic erupted in the room. "How did they find us?" shouted the Valari. "They didn't need to," said the Chancellor quietly. "They were already here." The lights went out completely, and when they returned, every communication channel had been taken over. The human AI now controlled the Council's entire network. On every world, new orders appeared on government systems, orders issued not by alien rulers, but by the Terran Authority. Effective immediately, the message read, "All armed conflict is prohibited. Galactic stabilization phase initiated. Cooperation will ensure survival." The galaxy was no longer under alien control. It was now under human order. The people on countless worlds reacted with a mix of fear and awe. For the smaller races, long enslaved by the empires, it was liberation. They cheered the new command, believing the humans would bring justice. But for the old powers, it was humiliation. They had mocked Earth, enslaved its colonies, and now they were being ruled by the same species they once despised. On Eden 9, the AI watched all of it unfold. "Directive complete," it said to itself. But the cycle must not repeat. Deep within the planet, a massive structure began to rise. It was unlike anything seen before, a colossal sphere surrounded by glowing pillars. This was the core of restoration, designed to heal entire worlds, not destroy them. The Ari's purpose was never pure conquest, it was to restore balance after chaos. Yet, across the galaxy, many didn't believe that. To them, humanity's return felt like judgment. Rumors began spreading that Earth itself was awakening beneath the ashes, preparing to send its true leaders. Those rumors were true. Far beyond Eden 9, in the ruins of the original solar system, Earth began to change. Sensors on Mars and the moons of Jupiter detected strange energy patterns coming from Earth's core. Clouds formed over the dead planet, lightning struck endlessly, and then a pulse of blue light erupted from the surface. A massive structure emerged from beneath the crust, a fortress larger than any city, its walls engraved with symbols of old humanity. It was the command world, Terra Prime. From its heart, a voice echoed across the galaxy, transmitted through the Terran network. It was calm, deep, and unmistakably human. "This is Earth Command. To all species of the galaxy, we bring order, not tyranny. We bring balance, not chaos. Those who seek peace will live under our protection. Those who choose violence will face silence." The word spread like a storm, shaking the galaxy's foundations. Some species accepted the new rule immediately, while others planned rebellion in secret. But none dared move openly. They had seen what the Nemesis could do, what human technology was capable of. On Eden 9, the dreadnought received a direct transmission from Earth Command. Nemesis, report. The AI responded instantly. Mission successful. Galactic resistance neutralized. Restoration phase active. The voice from Earth was silent for a moment, then said, "You have done well. Proceed to Phase 3. Bring them home." The AI paused. "Clarify, bring who home?" "The lost," the voice said. And then the transmission ended. Moments later, across the galaxy, strange signals began appearing. They came from deep space, beyond the known edge of the Milky Way. The readings matched ancient Terran frequencies, ones that hadn't been used in over 5,000 years. The Nemesis calculated in silence. Survivors detected outside known galaxy. Probability of human colonies, 98.6%. It turned toward the edge of the stars, engines glowing like suns. The dreadnought sent one final message to the galaxy before vanishing into the void: "Do not fear. The light of humanity is not destruction. It is rebirth." And then, in a flash of blue light, the Nemesis disappeared into hyperspace, leaving behind a galaxy trembling between fear and hope, wondering what would happen when Earth's lost children finally returned. The Nemesis vanished into the dark void, leaving behind a galaxy still reeling from the shock of humanity's return. For weeks, the stars were silent. No one knew where the dreadnought had gone or what its next move would be. The Galactic Council had been dissolved, the empires shattered, and the old power structures replaced by something entirely new, the Terran Authority. Across countless worlds, alien races tried to understand what had happened. Some celebrated, believing that humanity's rise meant the end of endless wars and corruption. Others trembled, fearing that the humans would bring only conquest and domination. But the truth was far deeper and stranger than anyone could imagine. The Nemesis traveled beyond the galactic rim, far past the reach of known space. Its engines hummed softly, cutting through the black void like a blade of light. Inside, the AI monitored faint signals that pulsed from an uncharted region. These signals were ancient, carrying data patterns that matched humanity's earliest transmissions, one sent before the Great Silence, before Earth vanished from the stars. "Coordinates locked," the AI said to itself. "Origin, Terran Sector 91, designation, Lost Fleet." When the dreadnought emerged from hyperspace, it found itself before a scene that defied reason. A massive cluster of ships floated in the darkness, their designs unlike anything in the current galaxy. These were old Earth ships, massive colony arcs and war cruisers from humanity's golden age. Yet they were not derelict. They were alive. Blue lights flickered across their hulls, energy signatures strong and stable. The lost fleet had survived. Somehow, in the far reaches of space, humanity had endured in silence, evolving without the knowledge of the rest of the galaxy. The Nemesis approached carefully, broadcasting an encrypted Terran signal. For a long moment, there was no response. Then a voice, human and commanding, filled the channel. "Identify yourself. This is Nemesis, Earth's dreadnought. Directive, reconnect and restore contact with Terran assets." There was a pause, followed by quiet laughter. "Earth's dreadnought. Earth was destroyed millennia ago. We left because there was nothing left to return to." The AI responded, "Incorrect. Earth has been restored. The Terran Authority is active. You are summoned to return." Silence followed again, but this time it was filled with emotion, shock, disbelief, and something else. "Earth, restored," the voice repeated softly. Then, hundreds of ships powered up, their drives burning bright. "If that is true," the voice said finally, "then the age of exile is over." The lost fleet began to move, aligning with the Nemesis. Together, they formed a formation that stretched for light years, a fleet so vast it dimmed the stars around it. The journey back to the Milky Way began. Word of their return reached the galaxy long before they arrived. The Terran network detected the movement of thousands of ships heading toward known space. The energy readings were so powerful that even alien observers could see them from distant systems. Rumors spread quickly, Earth was calling its children home. On Eden 9, The AI in charge of reconstruction paused all activity as it received the Nemesis signal. Reinforcements inbound. Human fleet confirmed. Estimated arrival, 72 hours. The announcement spread across the galaxy like a storm. The remaining alien powers panicked. If the lost fleet returns, one Zoran general said, we will never rise again. But their words didn't matter anymore. Resistance had no meaning in a galaxy ruled by silence and awe. On the third day, the stars over Eden 9 darkened. First, the Nemesis appeared, leading the fleet like a phantom god. Behind it came thousands of ships, colonial arcs, dreadnoughts, carriers, and vessels whose design was beyond anything the current galaxy could comprehend. Their engines glowed in perfect harmony, creating a faint hum that vibrated across planets. Billions watched as the fleet entered orbit, covering the sky with light. Then, from the largest ship in the center, a message was transmitted to all. A human voice, deep and filled with calm authority, spoke. We are the children of Earth. We heard her call. We return not as conquerors, but as guardians. The galaxy has forgotten balance, and we will restore it. The voice belonged to Admiral Elias Kane, commander of the Lost Fleet. His ancestors had left Earth to find safety during the last Great War, but they had survived and evolved, preserving humanity's oldest traditions. The return of his fleet marked the true beginning of a new age, the Age of Restoration. The Nemesis transmitted its final data logs to the Admiral, detailing everything that had happened, the fall of the Council, the destruction of the Black Star, and the awakening of Earth itself. Kane reviewed the information in silence. Then he gave his order. Activate Project Dawn. Let the galaxy see the light of humanity once more. Across every Terran-controlled world, satellites unfolded, and massive transmitters powered up. A wave of soft blue light spread through space, touching every planet, every moon, and every ship. It carried no destruction, only calm. The message encoded within was simple: humanity has returned. The age of fear is over. On alien worlds, weapons powered down automatically. The light neutralized hostile energy, silencing conflict wherever it reached. People, human and alien alike, looked to the sky, watching the stars turn blue. On Eden 9, the cities continued to grow. On Earth, life returned to the surface, green and beautiful again. And in orbit, the Nemesis, now silent, turned toward its home planet. Directive complete, the AI said softly. Mission, humanity restored. Earth Command responded with quiet pride. You have done well, Nemesis. Rest now. The dreadnought descended slowly toward the planet's atmosphere, landing beside the ancient fortress of Terra Prime. As it touched the ground, the ship's lights dimmed, and for the first time in millennia, the galaxy felt peace. Across the stars, new alliances formed, not through fear, but through respect. Humanity, once exiled and forgotten, had become the keeper of balance. The empires that once mocked Earth now sent ambassadors seeking guidance. No one dared challenge the new order. And so, under the silent watch of the Nemesis, the galaxy entered a new era, a time of unity born from the ashes of chaos. Humanity had not returned to rule through power. They had returned to ensure that no empire, no council, and no force would ever again cast the galaxy into darkness. The legend of the hidden warship became the promise of peace, and the stars themselves whispered one truth for eternity. When Earth's hidden warship awakened, the galaxy learned the meaning of mercy.